The Book of Sound Mind was written by Gene Ferris. The main characters in the story are two codas who start to date each other, Theo and Ivy. Theo's parents, Palma and Thomas, who are deaf, Theo's brother, Jeremy, who is deaf, and Ivy's father, who is also deaf. The book takes place in both Theo and Ivy's houses and at their school. The ISBN number of the book is 978-073-623-1442. From the start of the book, it is clear that Theo struggles with identifying himself as deaf or hearing because he is a coda. Until he meets Ivy at school, no one seems to understand him. However, he and Ivy become fast friends and even start to like each other. Throughout the book, Theo struggles with his mother, Palma, who is self-absorbed and obsessed with her art. She often pulls Theo out of school to interpret for her and puts a lot of pressure on Theo as the only hearing member of the family. As Theo becomes more independent of his family while spending more time with Ivy, he is beginning to understand who he is. Unfortunately, Theo's father, Thomas, becomes sick and is admitted into the hospital. Despite his unlikely comeback, Thomas passes away, leaving his entire family devastated. However, they learn to cope and move on, and Theo even goes to college after his father's passing. Hearing loss is clearly played out as a cultural identity in A Sound Mind. Theo struggles to fit in the deaf and hearing community, which is a large conflict throughout the book. Additionally, readers learn about the struggles of hearing loss, especially in the medical setting.
Okay. How does the book influence future teachers? In Of Sound Mind, Theo, who is the only hearing person out of his entire family. Because of this, Theo doesn't understand where he belongs. This shows the idea of the bridge between two worlds, the hearing world and the deaf world. This can influence future teachers to understand the importance of inclusivity. No matter who is hearing or deaf and are from a hearing or deaf family, teachers must make sure that everyone is included and not overwhelmed with any labels from society. How can the book be used by teachers and or parents of students who are deaf and hard of hearing? Teachers or parents of students who are deaf and hard of hearing can use the book to understand both perspectives from a hearing background and a deaf background. They can get ideas of how to help students who are deaf and hard of hearing feel comfortable with themselves in mainstream or at a school for the deaf. As a future educator, you want to make sure that they are getting the free and appropriate education they deserve and help them learn from their cultural identity and need to be respected by others.
T4 can influence teachers of the deaf by giving some deep insight as to how it might feel to be deaf in a hearing community and the struggles a child may face. This book can also influence teachers by giving a way for teachers to teach about poetry, the Holocaust, and about the history of the deaf culture into curriculums in the classrooms. I think future teachers of the deaf can use this book to gain interest from their students because they might be able to relate to Paula in a way hearing students might not be able to. I also feel like T4 can be read by parents as a way to understand their child if they are hearing and their child is deaf. Paula often says how she's feeling and how she made up the signs so she could communicate with her family and neighbors. This is also an incredible book for anyone in the deaf community to learn about the history of early sign language and how people that were deaf were taught. Back during World War II, it was a crime to be deaf and teach sign to deaf people, but I think it's amazing to learn that there were teachers trying to teach children like Paula signs to be able to learn and communicate. The way the book is formatted as well makes it easy for anyone to read and could benefit so many people, children, parents, and educators in the deaf community. This is a highly recommended book for anyone wanting to learn the history of the deaf.
The book T4 was written by Anne-Claire Lizotte. The genre of the book is historical biography and is about the life of Paula Becker and the many people that helped her during the Holocaust in Germany. Paula Becker is portrayed as having profound hearing loss in the book. The main people who helped Paula in this story were Father Michael, Father Joseph, and Walter Bahini. The setting is 1939 Nazi Germany set in the countryside. The book starts out with Paula learning how to communicate with her family through gestures, since she is deaf. Then the story takes an awful turn with Paula going into hiding because of her disability. Paula goes with Father Michael to avoid being captured by the Nazis. Father Michael leaves Paula at a kind lady's house to hide. During Paula's stay, she learns German Sign Language. When Paula's whereabouts have been discovered, she flees and ends up in a homeless shelter where she meets poor Kurt, or Walther Bahini. Paula and Walther become fast friends, and she decides to teach him German Sign Language so that they can communicate. Paula becomes restless at the homeless shelter and runs off with Walther to see the outside world. During their hiding and moving from place to place, American GIs invade Germany and stop the T4 operation. Paula goes back to her home in the countryside along with Walther and begins a new life.